Hi everyone, it's Emmy. So it's been a few weeks since I posted my last video. Today's May 3rd and I'm studying for my AP exams right now, and that got me thinking that I should make a video about how I study for standardized tests. And in this video I'll be talking about the SAT in particular. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Emmy and I'm a current high school senior. I'm from Maryland and I'm headed to Princeton University in the fall as a prospective math major. I'm planning to make a lot of videos about college applications, vlogging my life at Princeton, so subscribe to my channel for more of those contents. So if you're not familiar with the SAT, it's a standardized test that most high school students take when they're applying for college. The maximum score is a 1600, so there are two subsections, which are math and reading, and both of them are scored out of 800. So I took the test twice. Both my junior year. I got a 1550 the first time and then a 1600 the second time. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the test taking strategies that I used and you guys can also use in order to improve your score. Alright, so the test itself has 5 sections, which are reading, writing, math with calculator, math without calculator, and an optional essay section. So starting with the reading section, it has 52 questions to be completed in 65 minutes, which is actually not a lot of time considering you have to make time to read the excerpts and fully understand them. For me, this section was probably the most challenging because of the time constraint, but also because there are a lot of questions where the right answer isn't immediately obvious and there are only nuanced differences between each of the answer choices. So some of the strategies that I used were, first, always use the narrowing down method. So on the SAT, if you leave an answer blank or get it wrong, you still lose the same amount of points. So it never hurts to guess. And by making an educated guess, you're raising the possibility that you actually guessed the answer correctly. The second tip, which I found very helpful, is that usually the questions are asked in the order of which they are answered in the excerpt. All of these questions have some textual support, and you can find the answer somewhere in the text. So what I recommend doing is when you're doing your first read through of a passage, underline or circle words and phrases that stand out to you, because first of all, interacting with the text helps you develop a better understanding of it, but also things that you notice that stand out to you might be things that the people writing the test thought were important and they will ask you about it. So my third tip is that when you first read a question, don't look at the answer choices. You should try to come up with your own answer first, because your first instinct will usually give you an idea of what you'll be looking for when you actually do look through the choices. My fourth tip for the reading section is that there are quite a few questions that just ask, what is the definition of this word? For these questions, it's of course easier if you already knew the word, but it's important not to let your personal connotation of that word influence your answer choice. You might have seen this word in your English class and in some certain context, but make sure that it aligns with what's given in the text and in that sentence. If you're a freshman or sophomore, if you still have a couple years before taking the SAT, I really recommend building up a strong vocabulary. One resource that I used was Barron's 1,100 Words You Need to Know, and this was a really amazing book. I still use a bunch of the words that I learned in that book to this day, and you will see those words everywhere. And it will be helpful not only for the SAT, but just in your English classes and later in life. Alright, the second section of the SAT is the grammar section, and this has 44 questions in 35 minutes. Now, these questions are often very tricky, so it's really important to read all the answer choices very carefully. For some of them, which ask you to match the tone of the text as best as you can, option A might seem like it fits, but one of the later answer choices might be even better. So you should really pay attention to all of the choices and consider all of them. Now this section, if you have a basic familiarity with language structure and grammar, it won't be too difficult, but some of the popular concepts that are tested on are parallel structure. For example, consider this sentence: I really enjoy swimming, dancing, and to hike with my friends. So you'll notice that swimming and dancing are both gerunds, but to hike with my friends does not fit that parallel structure. So when you have a list of two or more things, you want to make sure they maintain that similar structure. The second really popular concept is replacing phrases in the passage and seeing which one flows the best, which is what I mentioned before. I recommend just replacing the underlying phrases and seeing which one just sounds the best to you. Make sure it matches the overall paragraph in terms of the emotion and formality. Alright, so for the math section, there's a calculator and no calculator section. You have 55 minutes for the calculator section and then 25 for the non-calc section. For me, this was the easier part of the test because math is my strong suit, and the questions on the SAT are not particularly difficult. However, it's very easy to make careless mistakes on this part of the test. So make sure you read each question very carefully, circle all the numbers and units that you're using, and try not to make a silly mistake. If you have time at the end, this is a section where you really want to double check your work. A hack for the math section is that when you're just not sure about an answer, you can just plug in the answer choices, and that might take a bit longer, but it'll usually get you to the right answer. So aside from these tips, I'd say the best way to prepare for taking the SAT is to do practice tests. There is no better way to understand what kind of questions will pop up on the test and to simulate the testing environment. I used the official SAT study guide from College Board. It has 5 full-length practice tests in it, and I did all of them in the weeks leading up to the test. If I remember correctly, it also has a lot of practice questions for each type of question you'll see on the test. So I'd say this is a very helpful and accurate resource in your SAT preparation. So what I did after taking a mock test was circle the questions I got wrong, but not write down the correct answer choice. And then I would go through the test and redo those problems. That usually helped me understand why my thinking the first time through was incorrect and what the right way to approach those kind of problems was. Another resource that I recommend is Khan Academy. So this is an online website. It has a bunch of extra passages and questions that you can do for practice, and I believe Khan Academy is partnered with College Board, so these are questions straight from them. And instead of providing a full-length test, these for the reading questions, they give you one passage and then the usual 10 questions. So this is something you can do when you have a shorter amount of time on your hands, but it's still a very convenient way to practice your reading skills. Alright, so those were all the resources and strategies that I use. Overall, don't be too stressed about the test. It is, I believe, more than 3 hours, so don't stress yourself out. Get a good night's rest. And pace yourself through the test so that you have enough energy to keep you going. Bring some snacks, make sure you remember your calculator, extra pencils, some water, your testing ticket and ID, and go to the bathroom before you start the test. I wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope you get the score you want. Alright, so that's all for this video. As always, if you have any requests for videos about, college essays, college applications, senior year, things like that, let me know in the comments or contact me on Instagram. I will see you guys next time.